As a youth, with nothing but the shirt on my back, I crossed the country a couple of times and discovered why Jesus told his true servants to go with nothing but the shirt on their back. It is Sunday evening, December 26th. I love Florida. Olga stayed in Russia to help with our granddaughter Darina and to help her folks. Father's totally disabled now, living with a nephew. At any rate, I wanted to share my testimony that I gave in meeting today. It has to do with why I understand something about what Jesus said in Luke chapter 10 when he sent his 70 servants out 2 by 2 to take nothing for their journey. And he asked us to pray for more laborers for the harvest. I have a background that gives me some insight that is my testimony. First of all, as a worker said in Freedom New York Convention some years ago, the description of a thing is not the thing. You can write the description of corn on a piece of paper and put it in the ground, it will not grow. The writing in the Bible is a description of what people heard and saw. What we hear is a description. And Paul, on Mars Hill, in Luke chapter 17, verse 28, says about God, "In him we live and move and have our being." The reality of getting close to God is being able to see ourselves as part of him and see his laws working and draw close to him. And our capacity to love has a lot to do with that. That's another testimony, but regarding the insight into Jesus' instructions to his 2 by 2 servants to take nothing extra for their journey, essentially to go with the shirt on their back. My background, it gives me insight. When I was 11, my father was killed in an accident. 2 years later, my mother remarried and moved from our farm town to the city with my stepfather. The summer I was 14, I left and came back to my hometown and stayed with friends and worked on a farm. Towards the end of summer, Jimmy Reynolds and I hitchhiked to Chanute Field, Illinois, to see Roger Chaplin, who was in the Air Force. In a small town, the age group of friends is a little bit wider. And we had gone to a 2-room schoolhouse where there were 6 grades in one classroom. So the friendship had a wider age range for my childhood than many today are grouped by age grade. At any rate, experienced many things hitchhiking with human beings. And I went home to Buffalo, New York, right on the outskirts, and back to school that September. And the following summer, when I was 15, I did the same thing. Went, stayed at Frank Pluff's and worked at Hoover's Dairy. Towards the end of the summer, I saw in the Niagara Falls Gazette a Marine advertising $20 for a ride to Tombstone, Arizona. And Roger Chaplin, my friend in the Air Force, was then stationed at Davis-Monthan Air Base in Tucson, Arizona. So I bought the ride to Tombstone, Arizona, and hitchhiked from there. Visited with Roger, and then hitchhiked back. Got a ride that took me to Juarez, Mexico. A man, two others besides myself that he had picked up. Just an aside, he had a Pepsi-Cola distributing company, he said, but he was having trouble and was divorcing his wife and was just going for a long ride for the weekend. At any rate, there were four of us, and we had a night in Juarez and then slept in the car and come back. And I went on with other rides and down into Houston. A very interesting part of that trip was when I was left off in the desert, middle of the desert. Picked some pear cactus, and the pears, put them in my pocket. Big mistake. They festered there for weeks. They're little thistles. But alone and lonely on the desert there was a fork in the road where the man had left me off. And I had a New Testament with me that a friend, father was a caretaker at the council churches in Buffalo, giving me a New Testament, pocket Testament. At reading, I thought about God and heaven, my Father being dead, and I felt the closeness of my Father up here in heaven. I believe that's helped me to draw close to God in many ways, a sense of love. At any rate, I had many experiences hitchhiking. I came home, went to high school. I just finished 9th grade in junior high. Went to high school for 2 weeks, turned 16 and left school. Started working for a living. And later, after Christmas, I went on the road selling magazines door to door. And hitchhiked back from Illinois once, and then went on the road again with another crew out to as far, going to a different city every week. And went as far as Denver, and then hitchhiked back with friends at Calvin State.
This is the end of part 1. Part 2, I'll show you how this gave me insight into the way Jesus sent his 2x2 servants.